Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Faith Chats. I'm your host, Andrew Burnett, and today I have with me Arthur Richard C. Lyons. He's written many great books, one including The DNA of Democracy. We'll talk a little bit about that. Welcome to the program, Richard.
Great to be with you, Andrew. Thanks.
So, I'm excited to talk with you today, and in The DNA of Democracy, you trace democracy's evolution from ancient Athens and Rome through England's growth to America's unique founding, influenced by a meridian perspectives, revolutionary philosophers, and rebel warrior poets. How do you see those foundational elements of inclusive representation clashing with modern decisions like a governor vetoing bills that affect women's health and longevity?
Um, that's a big question. um, I think it's such things shouldn't be up to simply a governor, should they? They ought to be. It ought to be open representation in an assembly that would determine that sort of an answer to a question. Uh, I, to my mind, Andrew, and this has been endemic for the last 100 years. Both the president and governors have way too much power. The assemblies in our country exist for a reason. And if you follow the DNA of democracy to our founding was all about assemblies. So, and where you find democracy best expressed is at the small level, at the town level, the city level, where there are persons in assembly that decide issues locally. And then, if the locality does well or the locality doesn't do as well, you can apply that to larger areas like counties and states. We were born from the ground up. Nowadays, after 100 years of concentration of power in governor's offices and in the presidency, it's from the top down.
So, you describe America's democracy as unprecedented due to its blend of indigenous views on life and Enlightenment ideas. Could you explain how this DNA was meant to ensure no group like women navigating midlife is rendered invisible or devalued, and where we stand today in upholding that legacy?
Well, if you have true representation, Andrew, of all the populations comprising a state or the country, of, women represent half that population. Thank God.
Right.
And the stages of a woman's life are really, I have four sisters, a wife, my mother, and countless friends who are women. And the stages of their life are very hard. When they're in their coming of age time of life, their bodies are racked with hormonal changes. It can drive them a little off. And then when they're in childbearing, my gosh, you're talking about going off in the second trimester, they're off the charts in just being elated. And in the third trimester, they're burdened like as though they're carrying an elephant on their back. I mean, the stages of their life are very hard. And I think menopause should really come into the forum as being something that let's be open about it, let's deal with it, and go from there.
So, Shadows of the Acropolis poses tough questions about why Americans feel unrepresented, why the nation is so divided, and why politics has devolved into name calling and closed door maneuvers rather than respectful debate. As we seen in the news, Halle Berry just called out California Governor Gavin Newsom for vetoing menopause care legislation twice, saying that overlooks women and disqualifies him from higher office. Does this feel like a symptom of that broader entity you described, and how does it exemplify the different truths peddled by media and politicians?
Yes, I think it does, because there you have a governor who isn't listening to half the population of his state. And Andrew, you spoke about it right at the outset. The things he's doing in California are ruining one of the greatest states in the union. And he doesn't have a couple extra nickels for women's menopause. He spends money like a drunken sailor. You would think he would come up with a solution backed by finance that would deal with half the population of a state.
Well, I mean, we are talking about the guy that when the state was burning down, he was more worried about saving the population of a fish rather than helping with the water conserve.
Very true. Very true. That's him.
So I mean, we could expect no better than that right there. So Barry's comments at the New York Times Deal Book Summit drew gas from the crowd. She said at 59, women like her are past their prime and invisible in culture and policy. In your view, how does this political devaluation of women mirror the shadows over our democracy where half of the nation feels incensed no matter who's in power?
Okay, well, there's two populations there, and I don't think women become invisible. I think women do great things at every age, but I do think that the difficulty with our country is that for the past 100 years, it has developed into being two nations. One nation is like California; it's almost full socialism. In order to have full socialism, you have to get rid of the founding of our country because they're diametrically opposed. They really are. One is that the state controls everything. The other is that the people control the state. And at the back of Shadows of the Acropolis, I go through a list of how the two systems are absolutely opposites. Let me see if I can find it here just a moment. Yeah, so in our founding, we have legislation through representation. In the way things are today, after 100 years of developing socialism, it's legislation by administration. In the founding, we have temporal elective offices. In the administrative state of the country, we have perpetual appointed offices. In our founding, it's based on laws written by Congress. As it is today, it's rules written by agencies. In our founding, we had the Constitution's Bill of Rights. As it is today, you have the state's Bill of Rights. What can the agencies do to you? Right? Very different. We used to based property rights as a cornerstone of our founding. Today, eminent domain is being used all over the country. And it's not to build roadways, it's to favor different people over other people. So these are just a few of the things, and the list is long. Andrew, I have it here in the book. It's pages 380, 381. And it goes into these are exact opposites from one page to the other. And it's a study in how our government has changed in the last 100 years.
It's a scary thought. You was talking about socialism and communism. New York right now with Zoran Mandani. That's another state that's soon to be looks like it's going to be under socialist control.
Yeah, he's presently. I read an article yesterday where he is advising people on how to confront ICE agents. Okay. So you have federal law enforcement. The Democrat Party allowed in tens of millions of people over a 4-year period, to speak of nothing of all the millions before that. And now in order to enforce the immigration laws, which the Democrat Party abandoned, we have to have ICE go into urban areas where they have set up sanctuary cities and drug cartels, human slavery cartels. ICE has to get in there and take out the bad actors and anybody else they find. And now they're being persons who are murderers, rapists, slavers, drug dealers are being advised by the government of New York City on how to evade capture.
That ain't going to work very well.
No. No, and I think Mondami, Andrew, is spoiling for a fight. He wants this fight. He wants it to be on national television. He wants to trot out a mother and child who are somehow wronged because the man in the family or whatever he is got taken away. He can't wait for that photographic moment.
And it's almost like New York and California as a whole are going to become cautionary cities where once families love to go and visit Hollywood or New York City, they're soon not going to want to go there because of the state legislation and the things that are going on there.
Exactly right. I come from Chicago and I saw it go from being a very vibrant city. I lived there for years. Go from being a vibrant city to one where when you go on the Magnificent Mile on Michigan Avenue, all the stores are boarded up. Why? Because they've been looted. They were literally looted, and the retail shops can't afford to stay there. I saw a turnover because they shut down everything during COVID. All the restaurants I knew no longer exist. It's striking.
And it's shameful that the people in these states are allowing this to happen.
Yeah, it is very. And there again, you know, where is the dictator coming from? It's the JB Pritzkers, and it's that sort of person that can say, your children have to get injected with a foreign substance. They have to stay home, and we're closing your family business. And there's literally nothing you can do about it.
And the true power of democracy is in the vote. If people really wanted to see change, they would get out and vote for change. But but like you and I were talking before we did the interview, people are voting for people like Newsom and Mamdani, and
Yes,
they're getting exactly what they asked for.
that's right. And yeah, and to the subject that we started with, I think the solution for the country is more federalism, where states like Illinois, California, New York, all these states can go their own way. They can spend their own money, right? And be cut free of other states, virtuous states like Missouri or Iowa or Kentucky.
So, what really inspired you to dive deep into the DNA of democracy?
Well, I like a lot of people in the country back in 2010, we were witnessing the Obama administration attacking different people through the mechanism of the administrative state and the intelligence agencies, law enforcement agencies, taxing authorities, so that at the same time he was attacking the Tea Party movement, which was what we were talking about, ground up movement. He was attacking them through Lois Lerner at the IRS, right? The
Right.
Little Sisters of the Poor, because they did not want to go along with Obamacare regulations that dictated that they serve anybody who asked for it abortifacients. They objected. They were sued by the HHS. The Little Sisters of the Poor, who literally, by definition, don't have a dime, was sued by the HHS. Then you have the FBI going after Cheryl Atkinson and James Rosen, exemplary journalists. And Cheryl Atkinson was under surveillance through her computer for a full year because the Obama administration and the FBI did not like the article she was writing. So I said to myself, this is not America. And so I had the idea for Shadows of the Acropolis Volume 2. This was going to be the book. But unless you write the DNA of democracy first to show people what it's supposed to be, you don't know how it's gone wrong. So I had to write the first volume to get to the second volume to show how we have shifted in 100 years off our foundation.
And thank God for men like Donald Trump that's trying to bring it back to the foundation where it was.
Yes, and look at how he's been attacked for it. No other individual would have had the financial ability and the personal willpower to overcome what he overcame to get where we are today.
So, what's your hopes for people that read the DNA of democracy or Shadows? What do you hope that they get out of it when they read it?
Well, when I was going through the editing, I had an editor who said, well, what classification are you trying to give this book? I mean, I can see poli-sci and I see history. And I said, you know what I think it is more than anything else? It's self-help. We're supposed to control how we're governed. But if you don't know how we're supposed to be governed, how do you control it? And that's been the problem for 100 years. People just take it on faith that if the government's doing it, it's okay. It's not okay. It's really not okay.
So, with the midterm elections coming up, how do you think that we as Americans can improve democracy?
Well, vote for financial conservatism, common sense, constitutionalism, and that all points to Republicans.
Definitely not Democrats.
Definitely not Democrats. What they want to do, and here's the thing, here's where we are in history. When Obama was giving up office in 2016, the Democrats were on the very threshold of being able to institute full institutional socialism. They had the cultural seat in Hollywood, all the universities, the legal profession, et cetera, et cetera. And they were going to institute DEI, CRT, green energy, and all that is taking control of our minds and our wallets. And that's what socialism is. That Trump won and that you see the fury of the Democrat Party and how they've treated him will show you how they were just 1 inch away and they knew it. All they had to do was elect Hillary and they would have had socialism
And
instituted in America. But Donald Trump put an end to that, by the grace of God.
thankfully, very thankfully, because I tell you
Yes.
what, we would have been in one bit of a mess if that would have continued to go on.
Yes, exactly. And it is now, though, Andrew, what do you think the Democrats are doing now?
Right.
They're saying we're going to get it. We're going to do it. Next time we're in power, we're going to make sure this works.
And I mean, we've seen it on the news with the government shutdown. I mean,
Yes.
who had the power there? It, I don't call it the government shutdown anymore. I call it the Democratic showdown because that's exactly what it was. They got on there and they just showed who had the power, literally.
Well, you know what they showed, Andrew, who didn't have the power. They didn't. So they resorted to this mechanism, and that cost everybody a great deal of money. That cost the economy a great deal.
And it's a sad thing that even our like military and people like that weren't getting paid while they were sitting there lollygagging over things that shouldn't have been, never been.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know about you, but when I see Chuck Schumer, I just get angry.
Between him and Nancy Pelosi, I just want to throw the TV out the window.
Very true. They haven't got much smart to say, that's for sure.
Well, Richard, it has been an honor talking with you. Thank you so much for your time. I encourage people to go get the DNA of Democracy Volume 1 or Shadows. They can go to your website, richardclyons.com. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate it.
All right, you have a good day.